It's 7 o'clock. I'll officially call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Commissioner Zoller?
Here.
Commissioner Wexler?
Here.
Alright, we'll officially sign the journal and accept a motion to approve the DVD recording of the previous board session from Tuesday, February 4th, and the index of that meeting.
I'll
Second.
Done. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Okay, do we have some adjustments listed for the agenda? Did you guys have anything else? A couple of those items we should move down. The Allen Irie and the Board of Health thing for sure should move down to new business, because I think those are new. And the State of the Region Conference, I think that was just a kind of a meeting notification notice anyway. Does
Yeah,
anyone-
what date was that? Is any of my fellow commissioners gonna go to that?
That's what I was gonna ask.
That's like in Perrysburg or
Yeah.
somewhere up
It's
there.
in March.
14th.
April.
Yep.
I don't think I will attend.
Okay. I didn't look at the date
Yeah,
actually yet to see.
I think I would like to go to that. That's kind of the state of the region and so forth. What time is that?
It starts from 8 to 9 is networking and 9 to 12 is program.
Okay.
So I'm guessing, I don't know if you need to be there at 8 o'clock or if you need to be there at 9.
I'll go ahead and sign up for that.
Okay, I'll just mail in your.
Oh, you'll do that then?
Mhm,
Okay,
yep.
thank you.
And then
If that's all right with you guys.
Mhm, let me know
Kind of
later
state of the
on if you want
business,
to.
and then I think David Zach from SIDEC will be there.
If you look at your calendar and wanna go, just let me know.
I'll let you know. Okay, just everyone, okay. All right. Do we have anything else they wanted to list under adjustments for new business for later, otherwise?
New business, snow.
Snow, that's old business. Is snow old business or new business?
This is gonna be new business.
It's gonna be
I don't
new
think we
business.
brought this up in board yet,
All
but
right.
snow is a ongoing old business.
So we'll make snow new business. All right, then with old business, we had down the EMS meeting. I imagine this was the large meeting of
Yes.
all representatives from all the townships and villages?
I had gone over some dates with Ken and talked to Holly the other day about some meetings. And she suggested some of the dates open would be, we could do the 22nd of March. It's a Saturday with a backup date if, I'm hoping we don't get snow clear in March, but it's possible, with a backup date of the 29th.
The way this winter's been, I suggested we just go ahead and pick a backup date.
29th would work very well for me.
So if we, but if we want to make sure we got it in March, I guess, I don't know, there's something feeling about April and wanting to get this done. We all want April to be here, I guess. But, so I don't know if we want to, if we want to do the 22nd, so the 29th can be our backup. If we do the 29th, then our backup's going to have to be an April date.
Right.
I would prefer the 29th.
Jeff, what does,
Anything works for me.
anything works for you? Did Ken have a preference?
No, those two dates were
Both
good
were
for
good
him.
for him.
I'd have to check on the April, if we do an April date for backup, but I know those two dates were okay.
And the,
Then
Public
a
safety
backup
building.
date would be the following Saturday.
The 5th,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I'm fine with either.
yeah.
and I put a hold on the public safety building for those dates, but I can call him and if those dates
Okay.
are okay, I'll
Do
get
you think the commissioners, we can provide coffee and donuts? It would be a morning meeting, I would
Yep.
That'd be a
assume.
good idea.
Yeah, coffee and donuts.
Are we
We
allowed to buy
may
coffee
tend to
and
get
donuts
more
like that?
attendees when you got food there.
yeah.
Now, you won't absolutely get everybody, so
Right.
if one township says I can't make it, we'll just have to go with it. I mean, you'll never
Yeah,
get
you never get a date.
everybody.
I figure we'll do all the townships, all the villages, including the cities, because I know Chief Loreno had just interested in listening to the conversations
Sure.
from Fostoria, and I know Chief Ennis is, interested too. So we'll invite them and make sure the coordinators are there.
Coordinators,
And
definitely.
even the mayors, I don't know if they would want to come, but
Okay.
we can either include the cities or not, so.
You know, would it
Wouldn't
be
hurt to have,
helpful if we're thinking about trying to propose what Hopewell's got, to give an outline in advance so people, they can review it? If that's what we're thinking about, is proposing that, instead of springing it on them, and this way they would see it, whatever the
right,
regs are for, so they can see it, just say, this is a proposal. And like to get your input or your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
As we get it out to all the township trustees, I assume we got it electronically with the,
So far, we visited 4 or 5, and you've got
they're all
most
scheduled.
of them on the calendar before that, where Ken's actually going out and visiting them personally. I've been to 3 of them. And laying the whole thing out, and then I've been telling them, hey, we're gonna have this big meeting too, so that may suffice, but if you wanna send something else out,
I mean, you got the mayors and those in the municipalities, they
Yeah.
haven't seen, the villages, they haven't seen it. I don't like to spring something on them where they get a, if
Right.
that's what our thought process is, to propose that.
Yeah, and I think the meeting is not to, I guess I'm not sure where Ken's at, and I know I said to you when we were talking about dates that I would be glad to sit down with Ken some point and talk through how he foresees that meeting coming and if he needs help with anything in
Right.
advance. But, and whether it's just gonna be a lot of open dialogue or what, cause I even suggested that maybe we want somebody to facilitate it a little bit so that he can actively engage in it and not feel like he has to be taking the notes and or someone to bring out different aspects of it, just.
Yeah. By starting off with that, you would at least have a basis for discussion. Versus just, you don't wanna go there and just have open dialogue, and you got 1,000 different theories running around,
Yeah.
and you just don't get anything accomplished. This way, you get something, at least you got a system and you can dissect it,
Yeah, yeah,
pull pieces and parts out, add things to it, but at least there's a system that we have seen works. Kinda as the basis.
Yeah.
maybe Ken could put together a letter of some sort.
Yeah.
that-
like I said, I'll talk to him, because I think he's gonna have some kind of an outline, like I said, and see if there's a part of that. I
But to
mean,
get it to the attendees in advance, I think is helpful.
the agenda, the outline,
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep, we can do that. So it's the
All right, so if you
29th.
go with the 29th, then the backup date, if the facility's available, will have to be that April date, because I just think we ought to be proactive with that
Ready for
aspect of it and
backup.
just plan on that,
Okay.
announcing it, so it's not a matter of when we try to reschedule. And then we have the engineers meeting,
20th.
the 20th, so it'll be over a week in advance, but I was thinking that'd be an ideal reminder, don't forget come Saturday, but if we're gonna do it the 29th, that'll be over a week. But we can still at least plug it that night to remind them, and even maybe give them the outline that night or something too, we can see,
Okay.
but, all right,
That gives us time to get it ready.
sounds good. All right, then I guess, anything else for old business? I don't know.
I think the scat lease you wanted to bring up should potentially be old.
I could just touch base more about EMS.
Yeah,
Ken and I
okay.
went to Liberty Township, not Liberty Township, Bettsville Village last week, and that went very well, very well.
Okay,
He does a real nice presentation of, the first part was the recognition. We recognized all the volunteers. Now the second part's the education, and then the third part's the action. So he did a real nice presentation, and Bettsville was very open to whatever it takes, seemed like.
good.
Would this have to be brought up to the voters?
It depends what we do.
The thought is if they, to see if they want EMS and they are interested in trying to fund it, then it would be up to the townships have that ability to ask for that,
Well, if they
put
went,
something on.
if they did the Bascom model, for example, then Adams, Pleasant, and Green Springs, the elected people in that would form a joint ambulance district. So they would vote to form a joint ambulance district, then the ambulance district would decide
Could
if
put
they
the-
want a levy or not. Now, if you go a different route, then who knows? We'll have to, and Ken's got Derek working on all
Yep.
this legal
Yep.
stuff.
Because there's a different aspect of a county-wide.
There's an ambulance district, there's a EMS district.
EMS is if county does it, I
Yep.
think.
Okay,
It's
okay.
ambulance if the townships do it.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
What's the difference?
We will certainly want Derek there at that
Yes.
meeting,
Yep.
certainly.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's
Back
okay.
up.
That's okay. Just on the scat lease, you guys got the copy of it. It's in the prosecutor's hand. We don't have any other information back from them yet. But just if you saw something,
Okay,
make sure we let them know on that, because she's working on it.
okay.
She's got the information, so that's all, just where that's at. Okay, nothing else. Old business, we'll go to the new business and start with the resolutions.
Okay, I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the Public Assistance Fund 030, putting $250 into the HSA account. I have an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, moving $185 from contract services to other expense. This is at the request of the youth center. I have a resolution authorizing Buck IT managed maintenance agreement with Buck IT Services effective January 1st, 2014. This will replace the one he has. He's getting more proactive, picking up some extra work to help out the county. Will actually come in and clean the computers, and so it's a little more detailed than what his previous contract was. I have a resolution authorizing Holly Stacy, current president, chairman of the board of Seneca County Commissioners, to sign a grant application, agreement, and amendments, all documents related to the Community Development Block Grant Program. And I think that's all the resolutions I have.
I have a motion.
I make the motion, we approve them as outlined.
I'll second.
Any discussion, questions?
Concerns?
Not the roll call, please.
Commissioner Wagner?
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes. Okay, all approved, thank you. Other new business, snow.
Do you want to
I have a couple
get
things here
WSOS?
Oh, we want to
She's
go
on
over
at 10:15.
It is 10:15. You're up, Tiffany. We'll talk about snow after.
Yes.
I am here, not sure how familiar you guys are with the Community Housing Improvement Program that WSOS administers for the county, which we've done for several years. Part of the Community Housing Improvement Program is that we must have a policy and procedure manual that is updated every 5 years. And then anytime a policy notice comes down from the state, it must be updated as well. So what I'm here today about is we're updating the county's policy and procedure manual for the CHIP. So I'm going to go through the changes that will be in it with you guys, and then we would be requesting a resolution at some time to accept the policy and procedure manual, because then we send the new manual with your resolution to the state for them to accept. So I'll give you a handout here of the changes that we'll go through.
Where are we in this grant? Are we?
The grant was just refunded, and I actually Friday got the contract from our president and CEO signed, which I'll be leaving with Stacy today, because also once we can pass a resolution for you guys to sign that, we'll be up and running and can start implementing and doing the repairs and rehabs.
How much was the grant this time? I know it was supposed to be a reduced amount.
Yeah, it's 400,000 this time. Previously, it's been 500,000. Just with the funding cuts and that at the state level, the state made the decision to try and, fulfill more applications, which they still. It's a very competitive program, and with the cuts, it's even becoming more competitive. But we were very fortunate in that. We submitted 8 applications for communities like yourself, and we were all 8 of them were funded. So,
Thank you.
I don't know if you guys want me to go into some of the commissioner. We've been meeting with all of our communities. Some of them do want me to give you kind of brief overview of the CHIP, or you guys all feel comfortable enough with it. Okay. The number one, the funding affordability period. Currently in a rehab, which is where we do a full rehab of a home, we go in and we have to bring the entire home up to the residential rehab standard, which is the standard that the state of Ohio that came up with that says if you're going to put this much money into a home, you must bring it up to this standard. Currently, there is a 10-year affordability period, and basically what that is for the first 10 years that the applicant lives in the home, 80% of it is forgiven. The state has now, one of their policy notices that we don't have a choice in, it just has to be reflected in the policy procedure manual, is that affordability period is now reduced to 5 years. So after a 5-year period of the client living in the home, it's 80% forgiven. The 20% remains as a lien on the home until at which time they would transfer ownership if they sell it, or it's an estate or anything like that.
Can they pay it off at 20% to get the lien off?
Correct, yes,
Okay.
yep, they can, and if they, decide they want to get the lien off of it, yeah, absolutely, and then it comes back to the county as program income, which can be used for similar projects. Number 2, asset limit. These are the liquid assets that a client can have in order to be eligible for the program. This includes any, cash, CDs, equity and rental properties, anything along that. Currently, the maximum that they're allowed to have for a home repair or home rehab is $20,000, and for the down payment assistance is $10,000. We are proposing that we increase those limits to $30,000 and $20,000, and the reason being is we are finding, like with the home repair and rehab, the $20,000, $10,000 were set several years ago, and I think we all can agree that $20,000 does not go near as far. And what we're finding in like elderly clients specifically, that's all they have. That's their little nest egg. And so for them to be able to take $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to put a new roof on is really cutting into, their nest egg that they have. And then for the down payment assistance, these are all first-time home buyers that we're putting into a home. We give them money for a down payment, and then we rehab the home. And to limit them would limit them to continue to maintain that home like they need to properly, and that. So that's why we are suggesting that we increase those asset limits to make it more feasible for the clients that we serve. Number 3 is the rehab loan analysis. Like I said, on the rehab, we put a mortgage on the home, and that's where the affordability comes in. And currently, there is nothing to protect the county from a client that would come in, they've got $80,000 in mechanics liens and 3 mortgages, and yes, we've seen that happen. And then we go ahead and we put a mortgage on top of it to do the rehab. So what we are proposing is that we cap it at 150% loan to value, and then we put kind of the formula here that we would use, and it's pretty basic. You take all of the existing housing obligations plus the proposed rehab amount, and then we take and divide that by the county auditors, we'll use the county auditor website, the value there, plus 50% of the rehab amount. And then as long as that's under 150%, we can proceed with the rehab. On the next page, you'll see that we did put kind of a caveat, I guess you'd say, in there that would give you guys the flexibility. If, say, we've got a couple that comes in and they've got one mortgage, they pay on time all the time, they just happen to be at 155%, we would present that to you guys, and you guys could make that decision at that point if you feel that that would be a viable project that you would want to invest the county's money into. Number 4, I will start off with saying this was a state one, that we are not proposing this. We fought this. Don Corley, who has been with WSOS forever, he's on all of the Housing Advisory Committee boards, let know that we don't approve of it, but currently for a covers the community housing and improvement dispute resolution and conflict management policy. This covers between the homeowner and the contractor during construction and 1 year after construction. That's the warranty period that they're covered if there's any type of conflict or anything like that. How it's typically handled is, we, as much as possible, act as kind of a mediator, and 99% of the time that resolves it. But there is a formal policy that if that doesn't work, then it goes to mediation, which has always been the cost of the community, but it also is an option for the community. You can have mediation, or you can skip and go right to arbitration. Well, now what the state is saying is the cost of arbitration is also the county's responsibility. It doesn't give the client any incentive to settle, but unfortunately, it was a policy notice that was put out that we have to adopt into the policy and procedure manual. I will tell you, however, in the 11 communities that we serve, we've only had 2 cases where it's actually gone through the policy. Neither one of them even made it to arbitration. One was right up to arbitration, and they settled right before it got to it. So I don't foresee there being a big issue or anything like that, but we do want to let you know that cost would be the county's if it ever came to that point. Number 5, the eligibility of past participants. Currently, and this is more for the home repair side activity under the grant, and the home repair is where we can go in and we can do 1 system, sometimes 2, hot water heater, roof, that type of thing. Much smaller pot of money. It doesn't have the affordability period. It's 100% grant. But currently a client can be assisted once within every grant period. So we have clients that know that it's a first come first serve, and they're the first ones to sign up. And so then they get a roof in this grant, and the next grant they get a hot water heater, and the next grant they get a furnace, and next thing you know, we've rehabbed their home. Doesn't give opportunity for other county residents to take advantage of the program. So we are proposing that we put some limits on that, and it be that once a property has received assistance under the grant, they are no longer eligible to apply for 5 years, with a few exceptions. The first one is if there's a health and safety situation that is deemed as an emergency repair, which is defined in the policy and procedure manual. If this weather right now, if we had someone call up and say their furnace isn't working, they would be eligible for a home repair and replace or repair the furnace. Properties that have received only a home repair in the past grant, and I'll kind of give you a scenario. Sometimes we go into a home, and like I said, when we do a rehab, we have to be able to bring everything in the home up to the residential rehab standard. There are times that it's just over the amount of money that we can spend on a property. So if we can do a home repair and say do the roof in this grant, then in the next grant, they would only be eligible for a rehab, because now we've taken the cost of the roof out, and it would be a viable rehab job at that point. So if we have a situation like that, we don't want to completely close the doors on that. And then the last exception would be lack of files. If we get to the last 6 months of the grant and there are no other files, of possible clients, then we would open it up to individuals that have been served previously at that point. So then it kind of gives everybody the opportunity to be served. And with the funding cuts and, lower amounts, we think it's pretty important that we kind of spread the wealth. And the last change that we'll talk about is the priority points. In a rehab, we kind of have to justify to the state, and how I explain it to the clients, it's a fine line that we have to do. We have to show that there's enough wrong with the home that it would be a viable job, but yet there can't be so much wrong with the home that we can't afford to do it. So how we justify to the state that there's enough wrong with it is based on priority points. I put the current priority point sheet as the back page here. It's kind of easier to see. We have to get to a total of 40 points to be able to do the full rehab. The client gets application points, that's just simply based on their application, and that's the first little portion there. You know, and those could be anywhere from 0 to 20 points before we even go out in the field to look at the home. And then there's the application criteria, which you can kind of see, you know, just, you know, electrical's 10, a roof's 10, those types of things. Currently, there are no added priority points for a home that has lead-based paint hazards, or if the home needs ADA modifications. The lead-based paint, we have to do a lead-based paint risk assessment on every rehab. So we are identifying the hazards, and we feel it's important that, I mean, and we have to eliminate them be able to eliminate them. So we feel it's important enough that we should add priority points for that. And then the ADA modifications, quite often, we go in, we've got elderly clients that need their bathroom modified to be able to, you know, make it more comfortable for their home health aide to come in and help them. But they may not their home may not generate enough points otherwise, you know, if they've got a current roof or something like that. So then we have to walk away from the job. So we feel that it's important that we could add the 5 points to, you know, kind of push them over the edge just enough to be able to get that done. So those are the changes that we're proposing. And like I said, I'm working with, we'll request a resolution to accept the current policy. Like I said, it has to be updated every 5 years. So with accepting the whole policy, this will make it good for 5 years then. And you have a current policy. I didn't want to obviously delve through the whole thing. I just wanted to let you know the major changes. So are there any comments, questions, concerns?
I think this looks fine to me. I did have one question. It seems like when we were going through the application process in the regional planning, we wanted to make a priority some money to hook up to sewers. Was that included in the grant?
That was included in the grant application with Bascom.
With Bascom,
Yeah,
yes.
Bascom is the target area. In the application process, if we identify a target area, it gives added points, you know, which is, you know, kind of how they, and so we always identify a target area. And it was recommended that we make Bascom, and that is what is in your current grant. So that's, we'll do direct mailings to
Okay.
Bascom and let them know that those funds
So
will be available.
If I live in Bascom and I qualify income-wise, there may be some assistance to do a tap into the sewer.
Correct, yeah, we can do those under the home repair activity, providing, you know, because home repair is a little bit lower income at 65%. Or if we look at the home and it would be a rehab, you know, we can do a whole rehab and include the tap in as part of the rehab.
Okay. It was limited to, it wasn't a big number, it was like 7 or 8 or maybe even less than that number that we could do.
Well, home repairs, we have a goal of 12 outcomes.
Okay, okay.
And rehabs, we have a goal of, I'm trying to remember for Seneca County, it's either 5 or 6
Okay.
rehabs. And that's the goals, you know, sometimes we can, you know, if we get lower projects and the averages work out, we can do more.
Right.
But that's where we're at goal-wise.
Thank you. Seneca County's gotten this grant for as long as I can remember, and we've done a heck of a lot of
Yes. Yeah.
good through it, so thank you for your work on
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
And the meeting we did last year, since that was our first round with that,
Yeah.
that was the grant that we're in now, that was prior to us getting that?
That was the application.
That was the
for
application.
For this grant.
Correct,
We were
yes.
still spending money from the past grant.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
like I said, this is the, okay.
Yeah, the grant, the previous grant ended October 31st, but it was about this time last year
Yeah.
when you were attending they call them the Housing Advisory Committee meetings.
Yes.
That's the committee that kind of tells us how you want your grant written and what you want it in it. And
Okay.
that's where the Bascom Sewer Project came out and
Okay.
that, so.
All right,
Thank you.
Okay.
well, thank you. That's a question.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thanks, Tiffany.
Uh-huh.
We have one item under new business that Mark is snow, and then we have Mark at 10:30. Would you like us to talk about snow first while you're here? Would you like to talk and get out of here before we talk about snow?
Oh, it doesn't matter if it snow's on your agenda, talk snow. That's
All
all
right,
we've been
it's on our
doing, so.
agenda because it was brought up from one of the other elected officials about the concern of snow piles. I believe that is the concern, right?
Yes.
That we have not talked about in session yet.
Right.
On what we could possibly do with those. So, let's talk snow. Then we'll have Mark.
We have concerns of the RTA building, being there's tax collection time, and there was some other concerns she had. It's just a busy time for them over there in that building. We had talked about it before. We don't have a current policy to get the snow removed from our lots. This has been a very crazy year for snow. We've had a lot of snow, so usually it melts and we don't really have an issue. Piles aren't as big. They're just staying around. We have contacted 2 of the companies in the area and asked them for a rough estimate quote, because I wanted to be able to talk to you guys about it today. And they said just the one lot could be anywhere between $2,000 and $4,000, and that's just to load the snow up. We've still got to figure out where to put it, and so that was big chunk of money for that. I contacted Mayor Motts. They said they would love to help us out, but they have to get their responsibilities done first, which we can understand. So I don't know how long that, they're working diligently just trying to get the streets and their lots cleaned out.
I
So
know plowing is a problem because nobody parks on the road now. They're not supposed to park, they park in our lot, and the guy comes around to plow and he can't. He
plow.
plows half of the lot and then he comes back later and plows the other half when he can. It's just a problem. I don't know what you're gonna do with all that snow. It's just, nature put it here, nature will take it away. I don't know what else.
Because I think when we get to a point of, pretty good percentage of the parking spots done, then we've got an issue, but we're losing some,
Yeah,
as city has lost their parking on the streets, but what do you do?
yeah. And I've offered that any of the employees, elected officials that's in that building, are more than welcome to park over here. I know our lot's been kind of full lately, but there's room over here, and if that would help alleviate some of her concerns with the public not having any parking, they can park over here. And I didn't know.
Is
She
3 to
keeps asking,
4,000
so
3 to 4,000 to get it removed?
that was just a rough quote that the guy could give us over the phone.
Is that
That's just one lot.
the same people that the city contracts with?
No, these are the current ones that plow our lots. Those are the numbers we had, and those are the people we called.
Yeah, but they typically don't have front end loaders and
That's probably why the cost is what it is. He probably needs to get the equipment.
I know, the one that does our big lots has big equipment, so I'm sure it's, I don't
big
know.
equipment, a tractor is one thing and a front end loader is something else.
Well, I know they bring in a Bobcat to do the pit down at the CSB lot, so I guess I don't know, I've never seen it, I just assume it had to be big, but that's the quote we got this morning.
Let me make a couple inquiries with various contractors. If it's, to me, if it's 1,000, 1,500, I'd do it, but 3 to 4,000, that's a lot.
For one lot.
That's a
Yeah.
lot.
One lot, yeah.
And that's really what we're talking about right now is the RTA building, correct? That's the one that has the biggest problem.
Yep, and there's still parking over there. It's not that all the parking
Yeah.
is taken up. It's just there's maybe 6 or 7, I think she said, parking places that aren't available.
And then everybody that was parking on the streets now
Yeah.
moved over there.
Parking in the
Well,
lots.
let me ask you this, if we could get it done for under $1,500, if we could find a contractor to do it, could we, instead of waiting until next meeting, could that be something? Would we
We have
wanna?
money in place
would we-
anyway
And I don't even know if I
to
could
pay for that?
have
Yeah.
somebody to do it, I'll have to make a couple calls, but I just wonder the people we call, if they're not equipped to do it, then,
Right.
they're gonna give you shoot from the hip and I shoot from the hip. I'm gonna
And that's
shoot
what they
high.
did. I
Yeah.
mean, they don't
Right.
really know how big the piles
Yeah.
are, so they were just giving us a rough guess because they weren't in town. So I wanted to give you some sort of an
I
idea.
guess I'd say if you could do it for under 1,000, I would go for it.
And I have no idea, but to me, it's, 4 or 5 hours worth of work and, no, more than that,
Significantly more than.
is it?
It's a
Does
lot.
that-
So Mark would know.
Seem like a reasonable rate?
Be very. That price? Yeah. There are dump trucks.
Pardon?
There are many dump truck loads.
Then we gotta have a place
mean,
for
can
them,
we-
then we
can
have to
we-
have a place for them to take that
Well, I
stuff.
mean, can we
I mean,
dump
that's-
it in the river or call it?
No,
You can't do that?
no,
You could
don't
probably
say
dump
that.
it, you could probably dump it on a farm somewhere.
How about out, like out the hedges,
dump it
if
in
we
the
can get,
Well, we got a farm out there, you could probably dump it in the field, I would guess, but.
well, the closer
But
you
might
haul
get
it, the
stuck
better it is
I
too.
think.
Yeah, the ground's not frozen. It's
Yeah,
a
that's true,
problem.
you might get stuck.
It's cold as
Dump
it
it, the
is.
engineers
snow's
know,
insulated.
I guess.
Okay, so if it's under 1,000, and I'm just thinking contractors aren't overly busy right now, if you get a front end loader and a dump truck, that, and you got insurance, but.
That's just my thought. It's just one of those
Well-
unfortunate things, I don't know what you're gonna do, got
Yeah,
snow everywhere.
yeah. I guess I don't know that we're at an emergency level of needing to
Right,
do it,
right.
but we might, let's hope not, get there, but.
It's okay, if it's under 1,000, just go ahead and do it. If it's more than that, we'll just have to look at other options.
Yeah.
That's my thought, I'm not the board, I'm just me.
Yeah, I could concur with that,
Okay.
yeah,
Make a few calls, and
Okay.
yeah,
based on what Mark's saying, it doesn't seem like I'm gonna be very successful at it.
yeah.
I have no idea.
There was
Those
a
are
big
large.
trailer over
Yeah.
there this morning taking up a lot of room, do you know who that was?
That's for our elevator,
Yeah, they're
Oh,
We have
okay, all right,
repairs.
all right, all right,
for at the elevator, so unfortunately, that's taken up a few
okay,
spots today.
okay.
Mark, you're up,
Yay.
yay.
I had told you last board meeting that I had, I don't know if it was last board, meeting, last time I was here, that I had numbers for New Riggle, specifically for the sewer district. We had talked that the collections that we had did not meet the expenditures. We have owned the system for a little over a year now. We really did not know what the costs at all were gonna be. And we had a shot in the dark. I don't know, do you want the long or the short or the medium? I guess I'll give you the medium. I mean, it is what it is. So last year, in 2013, we collected just shy of $155,000. Our anticipation is $160,000. We do have some outstanding that which we will be collecting, but so $160,000, and I'm just going to round it to the thousand.
Sure.
$160,000 of income. Our expenditures last year were $219,000, so roughly $220,000. A very large portion of that, and I can just run through some of the higher cost items that we have. We're paying nearly $60,000 for debt repayment. Paying last year Fostoria $75,000 for treatment. That is expected to rise. Towards the middle of the year, there was a rate increase, and that rate increase has significantly affected the residents of New Riggle. I mean, and we're somewhat beholden to Fostoria's rates. There's nothing they treat the sewage.
Let me ask you, if I can stop for a second, how long is the debt, when will we retire the debt?
How old are you?
Okay, long time, okay, okay.
40 years.
I didn't know, oh, really?
Not in a realistic,
Okay, beyond what
Beyond
any
any
of
of
us are
our-
gonna do now. Okay.
existences here in this office.
I was wondering, I mean, if
Think
it's
you might make
a
it.
short-term, 4 or 5
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
okay.
Oh, no.
Not.
Yeah, we just last year got the bonds.
Okay.
So our notes just started coming due last year. So we are in year 1 of 40 with debt repayment. The materials that we have been using, we put a system in, chemical feed system on both of the pump stations to deal with the hydrochloric acid issue, the acids that form from the fact that the sewage sits so long because the pump stations are sized so big, and the lines, you know, that it's an old story, but what happens is the waste basically goes acidic. The acids turn into gases. Those gases go up into our pump stations and literally eat the electronics of the pump stations, which are not cheap. Last year we spent nearly $20,000 on repairs to the pump stations. I anticipate for the next couple of years we'll be doing the same as we replace parts. Now the chemical feed system's costing us $20,000 a year, but we have stopped the progression. So the new parts that we're putting in, at least those parts are good, and they will stay good. So we do have several years worth of work at the pump stations to bring them up. That hit, altogether is probably going to push, $50,000 to $60,000 over.
And that's part of that 229.
This is all part of that, yeah, all part of that $220,000.
So there
we-
is some hope in the future that the 50, 60,000 you spent to,
No, we're spreading that over a period of time. That's not per year. We're spreading that over a period of years.
yeah, but the hope is that
That
once that
maybe
investment's made, that eventually that will kind of go away.
that $20,000 roughly we're spending a year hopefully will go away, yeah. Of course, by that time, pumps will be due. There's nothing cheap about pump stations, and particularly the way this system was built. It wasn't ours. We didn't do this, we inherited this system. So, long story short, with the revenues of 160,000, expenditures currently at 220, I'm expecting them to be close to 240 because of the increases to the sanitation, and I'm estimating maybe just a little bit high, but not much at all. With debt repayment ongoing, we are currently charging $204.78 in EDU. In order for us
Is that
to,
per month,
that's per quarter.
per quarter.
So that payment's 4 times a year. And it's just simple math. It takes us to $314.14. It's a $110 a quarter, nearly $33 a month increase.
You see increase 30% there?
Yeah, roughly. I went through the numbers. They are what they are. There are no places to. We can stop doing the chemical feed system, but we're going to pay double in the end. We're going to start inheriting more and more issues with the system. It may come to the point, and I don't know. This is for years down the road. If for instance, Bascom, being that we have our own plant there, our debt is going to be similar to what the debt is for New Riggle, as far as debt repayment goes. And right now we're paying nearly $8,000 a year in electricity alone to run these 2 pump stations in New Riggle. I would anticipate our cost for pumps for the entire system in Bascom to maybe be double that, since we have our own plant. It may be cheaper 5-10 years down the road to buy ground and build a lagoon system, and instead of spending, if we're spending $90,000 on treatment, spending $40,000 on debt repayment is a heck of a lot cheaper than spending for treatment.
But Mark, if I recall, they did some studies on the output from New Riggle and the input on at Fostoria or something of that nature, and there was some figures that I heard, like 40% infiltration, that because of the
Yeah.
pipeline
Yeah,
would not, from a long-term perspective, and I understand the reason part of that is because they put the line so deep
Right.
that it's crushing it, and you're getting a lot of surface water. And of course, as far as Fostoria is concerned, they're treating water.
Right.
They're treating liquid. If it's sewage or if it's just rainwater, they're treating it. So I
Correct.
understand from Fostoria's perspective.
Right.
And I hear what you're saying, but would it not be a less costly way to go is to
Fix it?
to
Yeah,
to
we-
go ahead and put new pipes in the system, which will raise it up at a So it's not down so deep, so you don't have this crushing of the pipes? I
That,
mean,
no.
No, okay.
As far as building a new system inside the village, no, we can't. You're talking about retapping everything. I mean, you're basically building another $4 million system. But what we have talked about, and what I have talked to several people, although we can't do anything until weather breaks, so just no one's going to be doing this kind of work now, is that there are some companies that, first off, we have a camera system that we, as part of the sewer district, we went into. You know, I'm part of it, the sewer district is part of it, soil and water is part of it, ditch maintenance is part of it. And all we pay for then, since we own the camera, as part owner of it, is soil and water's time to come in and camera it. And there are sections of the main line that we will be doing when weather breaks. And then I have contacted 2 companies that do sewer lining. It's uncommon to have to line something this new or this type of material, but they are confident that if we do find large breaks in the system, places where the pipes have crushed, which I anticipate is why we have so much infiltration, is that they can line it 20 feet deep without digging a hole in the ground. Which is one big problem we have, is that for the last, I don't even know how old this system is, for the last, I'm going to say 10 years, New Riddle's been trying to get their roads paved. We finally, through OPWC, through our local board here, have allowed them to, not allow, I'm not sure what the right word is. We've
Gotten some,
helped them get the money. Yeah, we've helped them get the money to pave the roads. We aren't going to rip them up again. We can't rip New Riddle up again.
Okay, so there is a system out there that can
That can line it.
line these areas
Right.
that's crushed, which could potentially reduce the infiltration and then reduce the amount of
Right. Now,
sewage that's being treated. Yeah, but that is a
The caveat-
relatively a small part. I think you said, the treatment is 70,000.
yeah, I anticipate about 90,000, right.
Yeah, so I mean, well, it's not quite half or.
Yeah. Right.
35% of the overall.
Right, and the caveat is that lining pipes isn't cheap. I mean, it's not like we just have a guy come in and line them. There would be a cost analysis done to see long-term, what's the repayment of spending $150,000 to have pipes relined, as opposed to the additional couple $1,000s we're saving by not paying for that I&I.
Yeah, I mean,
When they do that, they have to
let's
do
just
all
say,
of them.
They have
Line
to
them,
do,
it's not like you just do a
you know, you can't just do,
Yeah.
you know,
When it's
and
crushed, you have to do the whole thing to
right.
make it.
And generally what they do is they blow this stuff in, this basically tube, this balloon, and do a section of pipe. Well, these are all 20-foot sections. Every 20 foot we got a joint. You know, this isn't like a long run of pipe where you've just got a joint here and you've got a joint there. So to do this 20 feet, and then that puts hydraulic pressure on that 20 feet. And so like Holly says, you can't just go right there. We're just going to do that joint. But they can't do that to begin with. And secondly, that's not effective.
well, you look at, you got 90,000, let's just say if we got 30% infiltration. That's, what, 27,000? That's, if it's 150,000 to do this lining thing, I mean, that's
That's why I said there has to be a cost analysis done.
Yeah.
To see how big of a problem it is, how much it's gonna cost, what the, realistic outcome is, so. We're not gonna eliminate all the I&I, there's, generally 10% is acceptable. That's standard, you're gonna have some, there's pressure
It's even less.
when you're
than
that deep.
Potentially, at best, maybe a 20% savings, if we're getting 30% infiltration.
Yeah.
10% is considered normal, so we're talking about 18,000.
Right.
If we did this, is kind of the,
And that number I gave was just
yep,
it's not,
I understand.
I just threw a number out,
Yeah.
that's not a real
Fact
number.
is rates gotta go.
So I just threw that number, I have no idea how big the issue is.
Yeah.
It may be one spot where there's a pipe broken, and I doubt it.
Yeah,
I'm thinking like every joint's leaking some.
And what it is, because it's so deep, the pressure,
That's correct.
from what I understand.
There's
is
hydraulic pressure.
It's
It's-
taking this round pipe and making it oblong and it doesn't seal as well. That's what was explained to me.
Right, and you put that much water on it, it's like, when you dive to the bottom of a 6-foot pool and your ears pop because of pressure. Well, we're 20 feet deep, and there's a 20-foot column of water, 62.4 pounds per foot. every foot adds that much more pressure on that pipe. Every joint's gonna get a little bit of seep. So, but we are planning on that. We have talked to Soil and Water about that, and we will be working on that this summer. So,
And a recap was done.
yep, I've got that right here.
Where they reassessed all the less than one EDU, where they reassessed that and either gave them a higher EDU or a, which in my mind is basically a multiplier. The recap, the EDU was a multiplier, so if you're a resident, you got one EDU, then you take the $314 times one. If you're a business or a school or, a business over there, then whatever the EDU is they gave you, so if you got 3 EDUs, it's 314 times 3.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is what it's.
When can and/or does the rate change, do you think need to be in?
Well, I wanted to talk to you about this before we hit you with a resolution, but I'll work with Stacy to get that done, but my anticipation is that it'll be for the first quarter of this year. So it'll be in March.
So
They're
billed in March.
Yeah, they're billed in March for January, February, March. So we didn't do the January bill because it was for last year, and although I had the numbers, it's like, let's put 2013 behind us and catch up. We, luckily, Neuro came to us with some cash, a little bit, enough to cover, so we didn't, rob Peter and give to Paul that we need to recover and give back to the other sewer districts, so.
Basically, we got a 30% increase.
And the numbers are what they are. I mean, there's
Yeah,
nothing we can do
it's a sewer system. It's there's employees and computers and trucks and fuel, and these are direct costs to the system.
I think all the calls should go to the president of the board.
Definitely.
And
I
I'll share them with you. And
right. So I'll help put that together, but I did want to talk to you about that and let you know exactly where we are. So I mean, we went through the numbers detailed, and I mean, like I said, everything is direct costs. Their costs are the costs.
Well, and
So-
I applaud you for what you've done with trying to get this chemical to help reduce.
Yeah, it works,
Yeah, I mean,
but it's expensive. We spent $20,000 on chemicals last year, but that's going to long term save us a lot of money.
The good news is,
about 500 a week, roughly.
Yeah.
good news is we got to save money on Hammer Heinzman.
That is
Their
correct.
plan is paid for, and they received a reduction in their,
Yeah, we did not bill. We gave them a holiday for their last bill, so there was no bill for Hammer Heinzman. We had, and I'm not sure why, and this is from the beginning of the sewer district, is we had held Hammer Heinzman, Route 224-23 pump station that goes to Fostoria, and Honey Creek all in one fund. I really never got into the funds that much. It was more the administration of it, but we are now, and we have separated all those funds, so now we can get hard costs for each of our district. I mean, it's each of our projects, so we can have a better idea. I still think long-term, Hammer Heinzman is going to be able to have a reduction long-term. It is such a old system that it's basically paid for, it works, it's operating. It's one of those systems where there are floats that control everything. There's not electronics and sound systems and boards and like the modern day stuff that, if there's a problem, you just go get some duct tape and a wire. Literally. And it works. That's the way they all should be. We built a $4 million sewer system that could have been built for half the price if we built it just what we need, not what we're
regulations.
required. Exactly.
so Hammer Heinzman will go back to regular rate until, for the time being.
Yeah, for the time being, I don't think it's going to take long. I'd say maybe maybe 2 billing cycles. I'll know.
Okay.
Because I'm getting all the quarterly statements from regional planning now, so I can review where we are
Great.
more than once a year. That probably wasn't.
Great.
I never thought about it, but I can review stuff quarterly now.
Appreciate your work separating them. I know that
Yeah.
took some work.
It did, but it was a good recommendation. It needed to happen. So I mean, how can you charge people X amount of money if you don't know how much you need to charge them? So, and we had always just charged them the same. So, and that's not fair to them. So, but that's all I have. So, and as far as snow goes, I feel your pain.
You don't want to reconsider our conversation this morning.
No, I don't. I went and looked at
Okay,
the
I won't
files.
bring it
I'm
up
not going to
publicly then.
reconsider it. So. No, I mean, just to let you know, we spent $40,000 on diesel fuel alone
Wow.
in the month of January. And that's just diesel fuel. That has nothing to do with
Material.
parts, material, broken down trucks, overtime.
Yeah.
So,
Salt hold now, does it?
yeah, we're good. We plan for this. People are calling us looking for salt.
Okay.
And if they need it, we'll help them out, but
Charge them for it.
we're good.
Get them hard.
I can't do that. If I charge them what I paid. It's not fair
Bought
to
it for
do
two,
that.
sell it
So.
for four.
Yeah.
This is government, we're not supposed to make money.
I do that for you, Fred. I'll sell it to you for $6, but anybody else that needs it, I pay it for $1, you get it for $1, so, but, yeah.
He wants
Long
to
as it's-
ride in your
long as it's
snow
replaced.
truck. He wants to go on
You
a
can't
ride
afford
along.
that. I'm gonna lose an employee.
Put him in the back of the snow.
Oh, okay. We'll get you a car.
That's a good
Yeah, you
point.
can stand on the step outside the passenger. But, so, I just want to give you an update on where we were.
Thank
So,
you.
all right.
Thank you.
Very good, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Other new business would be two things from the adjustment to the agenda. Alan Irie needed an appointment of a board member, was that right?
Yeah, I got with Carl Kirchner, and he has said that there's a Heidi Steffi that would like to take the appointment up for that in June, if you guys are okay with that. It's a commissioner's appointment, and we were having trouble finding somebody.
Okay.
Fred said he would sit on it, but because it's a commissioner's appointment, they kind of don't want a commissioner to sit on it. So I spoke with Carl, and he said that she would be very good for this position, and she was okay with taking it, so.
Okay. So we'll just have a resolution later that appoints her. Good enough. The Board of Health, District Advisory Council's got a couple of seats, did Marjorie call back yesterday?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I didn't get her
I
anyway.
left her a message, I think it's 2 seats, so for some reason is what rings a bell to me, that they are gonna need some folks to appoint to that group, and they have to live in the townships, not in the city of Tiffin or Fostoria. So if we know of someone, and I think the folks they lost were in the construction area or had expertise in that area. Not that they need, I think it's just the population they represent kind of a thing. So if we know of anyone,
So they have
she's gonna be looking for names.
They have to have construction.
Don't have to, but she said that's the area where they were losing some
Okay. Who?
folks with that.
She didn't say who it was. They lost.
I wrote this note so long ago, I'm not sure if
Okay.
these are the folks going off or not, but she had Matt Klaus, Del Schwolko, and Rick Schwartz. One was, he was moving,
Oh, Dale Schulko. Okay.
but I don't, like I said, I wrote this so long ago, and we talked about this back in November or December,
Okay.
that she said eventually they're gonna be coming up and needing to think of someone,
Did,
so.
did we appoint Jimmy Young last year? Because he was interested.
I'd have to
Check on this.
I think we recommended, but I thought they appointed somebody else.
Seems like maybe that's right. So we just recommend, and then the DAC
Right.
actually appoints them.
Yeah, they're just
Okay.
asking if we have any recommendations. So,
I would recommend Jim Young as one of them. He's former commissioner for a short time, AEP retiree. He was commissioner for a year maybe. Retired guy.
I don't know.
Okay. And then he worked at Job and Family for several years. Is she wanting 3 recommendations? Or
2, I think.
2, okay. Well, if it's okay with the board, I'd recommend Jim.
I could support that.
yeah. All right. Because I didn't hear back from, but we'll find
I
out what
think
she
that's right. We
needs.
did recommend him last time, and they had somebody else already lined up at that point.
Yeah.
Have Nikki give her a call and just confirm if it's 2 or 1 they need. I'm assuming she wants to maybe do that, they do that at the meeting on March 17th, but they want to do it before the meeting on March 17th, I'm
We
not sure.
recommend before then they must appoint at that time.
Okay. Yeah, it says 2 will need to be appointed
If
at the meeting,
is-
so they want to get the names ahead.
Is Mr. Young okay with you as well?
Yeah,
Could
that's fine.
Could Holly, or Nikki, could you let her know when you talk to her too, that Jimmy will be one of them? He was on the health board at one time back in the 80s or 90s or something.
Okay. else for the good of the order?
Yeah, I have just a couple things here. One, I want to make a public announcement that March 5th, we will be having they're finishing the study on the Justice Center. And they will have a meeting out the NCOR COG on March 5th at noon. So all the commissioners and any concerned citizen to be there as they unveil the study that they've been working on for, I think, 7-8 months.
That's not a lunch thing, that's just.
No. They don't know how many people are gonna be there, so typically they have a lunch thing, but no, this is,
Okay.
you have to bring your own lunch if you want to eat. So there'll be, Burgess and Nyepel, there was a $100,000 study that we granted at the Burgess and Nyepel to do a study looking at the county, looking at the city, looking at separately, and looking at a combined cost, and to fix what we got, to build new, to do it separately. So they've got all these things, and they'll unveil this on the 5th at noon. Another thing I just wanted to make in mentioning, I've been working with our folks in Fostoria and so forth, and regional planning. There's a Moving Ohio Forward grant that was roughly, time it boils down after the admin fees, it was about $280,000, and about $245,000 of that will be awarded to Fostoria for tearing down houses and so forth and so on. So they're in the process of putting that together, but I think it was encouraging that the vast majority of that's going to go to Fostoria to tear down some blighted houses and so forth there. Last thing, and Holly, I know that I should get to this on the adjustment, but I'm not that organized. I've been noticing for months and months and months, the RTA building. I know it's dirty. Can we, in the spring, schedule to have somebody come in and pressure wash the thing?
The outside?
It just looks, if you see the black silt coming down that I would believe could be pressure washed off.
We had actually had money set aside to paint that building at one time.
Oh,
but
you
had-
wouldn't want to paint stone, would you?
They were gonna paint it. It was a special kind of paint, and we had the money set aside for it, but we had one commissioner that changed his mind, didn't like the paint, and it didn't get done.
Could we get a
So-
cost on whoever
Cleaning
does
it?
pressure washing? And then this,
What kind of surface is that? Can they pressure, I mean, I guess, I don't know if it's pressure washing.
I don't mean
Do-
sandblast, I'm not talking sandblast, this
Which
is,
okay.
they take a chemical and they pressure wash, but if you look at it, it's just kind of a gritty, like buildings are with just
Yeah,
through the years, and
yeah.
it just looks, and I'm kind of interested, I just got an email from the mayor complaining about
Oh,
the
really?
same thing.
Really?
Yeah, and I've been thinking about that, talking about that, certainly not now, but in the spring.
Sure, sure.
But it may be time, spring will be here someday. It will be here. You can put that in the paper. It will. Punxsutawney Phil says it will. So it may be an opportune time to get a cost.
Okay.
I have no idea, how much something that would be, but
Or the fire department could just squirt it down.
I like that. I like that. Because they probably don't have the
Put some soap in
chemicals they
there.
could mix it with. But
Well,
I have nothing else.
Anything else for the good of the order? Stacy, you have anything, Vicki?
No.
Okay. A motion to adjourn?
Is there any public?
Oh, public comment, sorry.
On the bright side, I heard on the radio it's supposed to melt next week.
Supposed to melt?
Next week.
Yay!
You know, we.
Well, flooding.
We need a gradual melt, because
Yeah, let's hope it
was on, was Toledo 11 News or 13 last night, they're talking about Finley. And that's a severe problem. If this stuff, we get some heat waves, man, them boys are gonna be drowned over there. And we'll have the same thing, not as severe as what they've got, but let's just hope we have a gradual melt.
Yeah, I don't know, but they just said next week melt, and I said, oh, all right.
That's encouraging. Anything else? Okay. Motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second it.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned, thank you.